As we reported last week, 2 lawmakers on Capitol Hill are raising more questions for the FBI. This after they say a memo that appeared to target traditional Catholics featured input from field offices in Los Angeles and Portland, Oregon. Originally, it was believed to be only Richmond, Virginia that produced the memo. And here to give us a unique perspective is former FBI Agent Kyle Seraphin. Kyle, thanks so much for coming back on. We appreciate it. We talked to you when this first came out of the Richmond field office, but what did you think when you heard that multiple field offices actually coordinated on this memo?
Well, it kind of confirmed my suspicions, and moreover, it actually confirmed my worst concerns about the FBI, which is that they're not being honest with the American people, and moreover, that they were hiding this sort of anti-Christian bias that was sort of building among some of the intelligence analysts. And I only have visibility to what people are willing to bring forward. So when we brought a whistleblower to Congress, we had access to what was going on in Richmond. It's not surprising that some of the redacted stuff actually showed source work in other field offices, but it does kind of tell us that this exists on both coasts of the United States in 3 different major field offices. And so this is not a small or otherwise like individual person who has created this thing. There's a small culture within the FBI that is out there actively moving against Christians because they're actively moving against conservatives. Let's be real. The issues that they brought forward about LGBTQ stuff and abortion and the border, these are not just Christian positions. These are mainline conservative positions.
Yeah, kind of was going to ask you this. I mean, as a former FBI agent and also as a Catholic, I mean, how does this make you feel?
Oh, it's a horrible betrayal. In fact, the FBI is one of the most Catholic organizations I've ever been a part of. It has more Catholic people working there, particularly in the agent corps, than most people could imagine. I mean, it is very prevalent. It's very common that if you talk to somebody about something over the weekend, they'll tell you what they heard at Mass, and they don't have to explain it to you. It's understood because there's a huge number of active Catholics working within there, and that makes sense because law and order people who want to do the right thing, tend to sign up with that sort of idea, and there's a lot of Catholics that are in that group. I actually knew of agents who reached out to me when the original document was exposed that told me when they were training at Quantico, they would actually head down to some of the mentioned parishes in the Richmond field office area, and they would attend the Latin masses down there because that was what they were accustomed to. So they're not just Catholics within the FBI. There's probably what the FBI would call radical traditional Catholics or Latin Mass Catholics. And, what they're basically saying is they're going to open up investigations into some of their own. We already know that the inspection division has launched up to 800 new investigations on FBI agents. This should be very concerning to people. This is like secret police stuff. And the compliance purge that my friends and I saw, this is an ongoing issue, and they are literally looking to move people that are going to put their religion and their sincerely held beliefs in front of what the government asked them to do. And by the way, that's what they're supposed to do. That's what the constitutional oath says they should do.
And Kyle, I'm curious, I mean, given your experience, I mean, do you believe there could have been a good reason for this type of targeting of so-called radical, traditional Catholics at all?
No, not at all. This is a First Amendment protected activity. It should be sacrosanct and the FBI should not be involved in it. But this was not the first toe in the water for this type of thing. This happened going back at least to 2006, where they were going into Muslim mosques. And so the idea that they would go into a Catholic church, it's much more mainline and it's certainly more bold. But if you look at the way they did it in a way they thought they could get away with, which was trying to carve off what they thought was a fringe group of Catholicism, which they believe is a smaller group of Christianity. At the end of the day, like I said, these are mainline positions. So this is a pry bar to open up a door to go after all Christians. And it's people that don't agree that the God should be the government. If you believe in God with a capital G, then you don't believe the government gives you all the goods. And the people that are on the left, and particularly the really radical progressive leftists, do have that sort of secular religion that they're espousing. And that's what they're moving towards.
Kyle, we have about 30 seconds left, but I really kind of want to get to this one right here. I mean, we know the FBI did withdraw this memo, but that being said, where do we go from here in terms of maybe holding the FBI accountable for its actions, but also rebuilding trust and the reputation of many Catholics?
I think it's going to be a major problem. It's going to be an uphill battle. And as my friends who are both Catholics and former FBI agents who have been removed over this kind of stuff, they think that this is a 15-year battle minimum. They need to reform the agency aggressively. They need to pull the intelligence work out from underneath this agency. It doesn't deserve it, and it's not good for the American people. It needs to be either traditional law enforcement or no FBI at all. There's plenty of other federal agencies, and you can scatter all the agents to places where they can go do a good job and not be, burdened by this really terrible brand that they become.
Well, Kyle, thanks so much for weighing in. We really appreciate it. God bless you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much.